I watched her walk out of my penthouse for the last time, and the worst part? I had $847 million in the bank, and she thought I was broke. Let me take you back 6 months. I'm Marcus, 34, self-made, the kind of wealth where you stop checking price tags and start checking people's intentions. And I was in love with Sarah, genuinely, terrifyingly in love. We've been together 2 years. She worked as a graphic designer, made decent money, never asked me for anything. That's what scared me, because everyone wants something eventually. My business partner Kent once told me at 2 a.m. over whiskey, "You'll never know if someone loves you or your money until one of them disappears." I laughed it off that night, but the sentence lived in my chest like a splinter, small, painful, impossible to ignore. So I decided to do something most people would call insane. I decided to find out. The plan was surgical. I told Sarah my company was collapsing, lawsuits, bad investments, fraud allegations. I hired actors to play journalists. I forged legal documents. I sold the penthouse, gave up my cars, moved into a cramped one-bedroom in a neighborhood where car alarms were the soundtrack. I withdrew just enough cash monthly to survive. Everything else hidden in offshore accounts she'd never trace. She cried the night I told her, real tears, held my face and said, "We'll figure this out." That's when I knew I was either going to prove she was perfect or destroy everything. Week 1, she brought groceries. Week 2, she paid my half a dinner without making it weird. Week 3, she suggested we cancel our weekend trip to save money. Every gesture felt genuine. Every word sounded like love. But I couldn't stop testing. I started tracking how often she mentioned money, how long she stayed when I was depressed, whether she hesitated before paying for things. I became a scientist, studying the woman I claimed to love, cataloging her reactions like data points in an experiment I couldn't shut down. 2 months in, something shifted. She started working late more often, stopped texting as much. When I'd bring up the financial stress, she'd change the subject faster than before. My paranoia whispered, "She's losing interest now that you're poor." But a quieter voice asked, "Or is she just exhausted from holding you up?" I ignored the second voice. Here's the thing about lies. They metastasize. You tell one, then you need 12 more to protect it. I started creating fake job rejections to explain why I wasn't finding work. I photoshopped overdue bills. I even staged a call with a fake landlord threatening eviction, making sure she overheard. Each lie was a test. Each test was a trap. And she kept passing. She offered to lend me money. Her savings, $12,000 she'd been keeping for emergencies. When I refused, she looked hurt, like I didn't trust her. The irony made me nauseous, but I was in too deep. I told myself I'd reveal the truth soon, once I was certain, once the test was complete. But tests like this don't have endings, only escalations. If stories like this pull you in, you'll want to be here for what comes next. Month 4. Sarah's best friend, Emma, got engaged. Expensive destination wedding in Italy. Sarah quietly told Emma she couldn't afford to go. I watched her lie to protect my ego, to protect a crisis that didn't exist. That night, she held me on our cheap futon and whispered, "Money doesn't matter. We'll build it back." I should have ended it there, told her everything, begged forgiveness. Instead, I wondered if she was saying that because she believed it or because she'd already given up and was planning her exit. The unraveling started with a coffee shop. Sarah texted she was working late again. I decided, against every rational thought, to drive by her office. Her car wasn't there. I found it outside a cafe downtown. Through the window, I saw her sitting across from a man in an expensive suit, laughing, comfortable. He touched her hand across the table. My brain screamed betrayal. All those late nights, the emotional distance. She was already moving on, finding someone stable, someone successful. I'd proven my worst fear true. I drove home shaken, ready to confront her, ready to burn it all down. She came home 2 hours later, exhausted, carrying takeout. Rough day, she sighed. Didn't mention the cafe, didn't mention him. I asked who she'd been with. She paused, just long enough for my chest to tighten. She said, "Emma, wedding planning stuff." A lie. I'd finally caught her. The next morning, I hired a private investigator, not because I wanted proof. I already believed I had it. I wanted ammunition. I wanted to know who he was, how long it had been going on, so when I revealed I'd been testing her this whole time, I could throw her betrayal back in her face. The report came back in 3 days. The man's name was David Goretsky, financial advisor, and here's what shattered me. He wasn't her affair. He was mine. David managed one of my offshore accounts. Sarah had tracked him down, spent weeks finding him because she suspected I was hiding something. Not money. She thought I was suicidal. She thought the financial collapse had broken me so badly I was planning to disappear, and she was trying to find proof I was okay, that I hadn't opened secret accounts to settle affairs before doing something irreversible. She was investigating me because she was terrified of losing me. And I was investigating her because I'd already lost myself. The meeting at the cafe, she'd been begging David to tell her if I was okay. He'd refused, citing confidentiality, but she kept trying. The late nights at work, she'd been picking up freelance projects, saving extra money in case I needed it. The emotional distance, grief. She was mourning the man she thought I used to be. I sat in my car outside that one-bedroom apartment, my staged poverty, holding the investigator's report, and I finally understood. The test was never about her. It was about me. I drove to the penthouse I'd secretly kept, the one in an LLC she didn't know about. I walked through rooms that used to feel like home, and now felt like a mausoleum. I looked at my bank accounts, my stock portfolios, my empire built on not trusting anyone, and I realized I'd become the exact thing I feared, someone who valued control over connection. I called her that night, told her I needed to see her. She came to the apartment, worried, beautiful, exhausted from carrying the weight of my fiction. I told her everything. The fake collapse, the offshore money, the test, the investigators, all of it. I watched her face move through confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally something worse than rage, disappointment. She asked quietly, "You thought I'd leave you for being poor?" I needed to know. No, her voice didn't rise. That made it worse. You needed to control. You needed to turn love into a game you could win. She stood up, looked around the apartment, our shared cage of lies. She said, "I would have loved you broke, Marcus, but I can't love someone who trusts tests more than he trusts me." She walked out. I didn't follow. The penthouse sale I'd staged, I actually went through with it a month later, moved into that one bedroom for real. Turns out you don't need to fake poverty when you've already lost everything that mattered. I see her sometimes. She's with someone new, a teacher, I heard. Someone whose biggest secret is probably a birthday party. She looks happy, the kind of happy that doesn't need proof. I still have the $847 million. I still check my accounts every morning. And I still wonder what would have happened if I just believed her when she said money didn't matter. Here's what I know now. The moment you start testing love, you've already failed it. 'Cause real love doesn't need evidence. It just needs trust. And I tested mine to death. These stories don't end here. Subscribe.